Hello, everyone. We're speaking today with Kavita Ashok from New Delhi, and Kavita will tell us a little bit about crisis, air pollution crisis in Delhi and other related topics. We have a discussion we hear a little bit about. Of course, Kavita is not new to most of our listeners. We had World Oceans Day and other podcasts. So, Kavita, can you just introduce yourself a little bit?
Okay, hello everyone. Namaste. I'm Kavita Ashok from India. I'm Delhi-based environmentalist and health activist. And I moved from the field of glamour, modeling, and acting to environment and community health service because it really touches my heart to see how, in the present times, we are ruining our planet. I like to contribute whatever little I can through my organization, Tree for Life, and I work a lot with youth and children.
Thank you very much,
So I think
Kavita.
that's it. Yeah.
Yes, what is the air like in Delhi? I have been reading. It's always the case, perhaps worse this year, in September, October, November, really, uh, due to, of course, lots of car pollution and also burnings of fields in Haryana and in Punjab. Can you say a little bit more?
Yeah, so this year the pollution is worse than ever. Today, when I see Delhi's air quality index, it is so very poor. It's difficult to step out of my room. If you want to stay healthy, it is advisable in Delhi to stay indoors. That is the state of toxicity in the air nowadays. And this is November, and we can't breathe in the city. It's really bad. Today, the AQI of Delhi is in certain places as bad as 1500 to 1700, and a healthy AQI would be somewhere close to just 50. So all the viewers can understand that how difficult it is to live and breathe here. And of course, with COVID, we are facing a double whammy this year.
Well, I have been reading this level of air pollution is like smoking 50 cigarettes a day.
Yeah, that's right. Because the air is so bad that, as you just mentioned, it's all over the media that do not step out, because even if you're a non-smoker, you are becoming a chain smoker in the present state of the air in Delhi and surrounding states of Punjab, Haryana, and some parts of Uttar Pradesh also. So we are in a big mess, and it's high time we realize that we are in a big mess.
The question raises itself, what can be done?
See, as an environmentalist, I think the first thing will have to come from the people of power. There has to be political will to sort this problem out, because the devil is known to us. It's not that we don't know who the devil is. We know, we can pinpoint. And for the last 10 years, a person like me has been working on ground. I do think that people in power, people in politics, and the concerned authorities, they don't understand what is the root cause of this problem. Of course, we all know there are so many, committees and government agencies and policy making people and administrative authorities. I don't know where all the effort is going, where all the money is going, and who's answerable. We don't know where the buck stops.
Well, that sounds really frightening, I have to say. Uh, can you say something about what are the immediate health issues? What are you experiencing? How does it show in an immediate uh, scenario?
Presently, if you see, there's all the hospitals in the in the major cities which are facing major air pollution issues along with COVID are full. We are running helter skelter for patients, because I'm not saying the hospitals are not working good or our medics are not dedicated. They are very dedicated, because in spite of all the challenges, 24/7 they're working nonstop, and I salute them from my heart. But is that enough? The question is that enough? Is that solving our problem? What is the state of public health? Public health, would be called satisfactory according to me if if everyone who's going to a doctor or a hospital or a dispensary is getting adequate treatment. That's not possible because India is a country of millions of people. Firstly, we have so much population, it's a huge country. And secondly, with air pollution, we have patients which, rising for heart attacks, for lung cancer, asthmatic, even neonatal, even newborn children fall more sick when there is air pollution every year. So this is a known fact, this is a known challenge.
That doesn't sound very doable in the short term. What about the cars? What about the car pollution? I heard you have in Delhi or had a system of odd numbers and other number plates. So half the cars one day on the street, other half next day. Is that still working, that scheme?
See, this year we haven't, we are just on the edge of starting all these things of odd even cars. Last year it was implemented, but because the pollution is so strong that it only made a very marginal difference to the total air pollution level, to the total air quality. Because see, I don't know how many people from the world know this fact that Delhi and NCR, our neighboring states, face the problem too much of air pollution because we have stubble burning at this point of time in the year. So states of Punjab and Haryana, they burn their stubble, and it's like unmonitored. They don't listen to government orders and policies. The farmers burn the stubble in the night. The wind blows towards Delhi in the night, and we have so much pollution every morning. We get up, we are like smoked, and you can't, if you step out of your door, you can't breathe. It's all like dusty, smoky. So only carpooling is not very, very effective, if I may add, because this is the ground experience.
Well, I have been hearing about that stubble burning, and that was linked to a water law. Can you say something about that? Because to a law of water usage, because the ground table, the water has been used too much. And there has been a law that rice cannot be planted before June. And that brings the season very late to prepare for the next planting. And then the farmers, mainly small farmers, that take it in their own hand. And the quick way is just the burning of the fields.
Yes, presently a lot of our farmers have been rallying and doing demonstrations because they are so frustrated. One way we are targeting them that do not burn stubble. But the practical thing is we have not given them an option. They are poor farmers. They need to be given option. If you don't burn the stubble, what do you do? Now, very recently, this week itself, the Chief Minister of Delhi, Mr. Kejriwal, has come up with some kind of a liquid fertilizer kind of, you can say, thing. If you put on the fields, the stubble is like it dissolves and it turns into degradable stuff and everything. But it's too late in the day because the stubble burning already started like nearly a month back, and the pollution is all in the air. All these things have to be pre-planned. I think we are running behind time. And secondly, I think the agriculture sector also suffers because they take the blame. They don't have the option. And last year also we were talking to so many people concerned in this field, was that they need to do crop rotation properly. There has to be guidance, as you just mentioned, that rice and so many crops, they need a proper circulation. So the farmers are poor and marginalized, and they need to earn their living. So they don't care if the neighboring states of Delhi, Noida or Uttar Pradesh or Haryana are suffering. Each one is thinking of their own. So I think there needs to be a united policy, a unanimous decision taken by the central government for all the states.
Well, it looks like it just means the farmers need support. The farmers need maybe some subsidies in order to manage in a better way. What do you think?
Yeah, a subsidy is being given to them, but it's very, very small. I think 6,000 rupees a year, which is nothing to a family. 6,000 rupees a year is not even $100. It's not even $100. So in $100, you expect a farmer with the whole family, throughout the year to follow all the government rules and not to, get quickly into, planting more crops, more seeds. See, because he's in a rush not to miss a particular crop and to quickly clear his fields. So that's right. He needs more subsidy. I think we need a more proper policy on this.
I mean, as far as I understand, these farmers are very important because Haryana and Punjab is a breadbasket of India.
Definitely. See, farmers, I think in India, we call them the spine of the economy. They're our spine of the nation, and sidelining their welfare is really not fair. Even though I'm an environmentalist, so many times on TV panels, I'm supporting the farmers and saying, we have to look at them, look at their necessity first. Because see, they are the breadbasket. If they stop providing and cultivating crops for us, where is the Indian economy go to go? For any country, I think farmers are very, very important, and agriculture sector cannot be ignored at any cost.
Well, I have to say, in Europe and in England, agricultural sector is heavily subsidized. Otherwise, they can just not exist. But are there
Yeah,
not?
so
Are there any other solutions? On the other side, what about on the traffic side, on the cars? Because, I mean, I have been reading, someone proposed when an economy is developing, there will be a lot of pollution and so on. At a certain level of set development, then it can be cut back. But I mean, is that really the case? And do we have the time of cutting back in 10 and 20 years? Perhaps not.
see, the moral of the story always burns down to urbanization and too much industrialization. India is developing fast, as everyone knows. It's an economy which is racing. We are moving ahead of our own capacity. I think we are somehow in our minds in a rush, to reach somewhere. So too much of urbanization and development is leading to a lot of deforestation. And that is, when you're clearing people or pushing away those people, you're hitting the tribals, you're hitting their economy, you're hitting nature, you are pushing away the animals and birds who live there. So in a way, you're creating a lot of imbalance whole environment. And secondly, I think that we just cannot forget that there has to be a balance, even when you're cutting down. If you're just as you mentioned that cut down the number of cars, it might help a little, of course. Like presently now we have this scheme in Delhi, especially in Delhi, in the city of Delhi, that when you're at a red light, everyone is supposed to switch off their cars so that you do not emit, while you're standing there, those toxic gases. Of course, it's a small move. Of course, every move counts, every drop in the ocean, I understand, counts. But our problem is much, much bigger than all these tiny steps. What we need is solutions from the top, coming from the political people, from policymakers. They have steps addressing agriculture sector, addressing the farmers, addressing policies, addressing pollution licenses. Presently, so many licenses are just being given away very normally, and the new environment draft that we have has seen a little bit of opposition also here, because environmentalists are saying that you have made it now even simpler for new industries or small industries, entrepreneurs, to get sanctions for licenses for no pollution, clearing of pollution licenses. So it's going to make easy for industries, but it's going to make hell for people who are living in the cities.
Yes, I mean, that brings us to the question, how are you transitioning into a green economy? I do believe, so far as I remember, India has not signed up to the Paris Climate Accord. So what about the transitioning to electric cars, for instance? How far is that developed in India?
Yes, India is, speaking of a green economy, and there are some little projects happening for the electric vehicle. Even we have the e-rickshaws also in some cities. Of course, the e-rickshaws, so that you don't have to use petrol, diesel, everything. It has just started. It's not in the mainstream. So until and unless a thing comes in the mainstream of an economy, I wouldn't give it like 10 on 10, because it's just the beginning. There's a long way to go.
Of course, that again is down to political will from the top. I mean, the climate crisis is accelerating in a rapid way. Ice shelves in the Arctic and even Antarctic are melting, and we are really in for a big surprise. Tipping points have been breached already. Tundra is burning and methane is released. And it's a very ugly picture. And the world is very much occupied with COVID, of course. And that has been a little bit sidelined, but there are definite links between COVID and climate. Do you personally and in your work see what are the links between COVID and climate change?
See, join the dot. I would like to start from climate change because we've been ignoring climate change or sidelining it or not giving it enough importance, in our economies in the present day, because we all believe very foolishly that there is a planet. If we just one, we have some other place to go. Everyone knows there is no planet. We have to be here. We have to live here. So whatever we create, we bear the repercussions of our deeds. So I think that even in Asian countries, as I've seen, or maybe if I'm just talking of India to take an example, there have been so many floods, and recently there have been floods in the south of India. And look at the kind of the mismanagement we had, because there's a increasing number of COVID patients, and because you have to wear masks, you can't go close to people, and you have to rescue them. So, and the challenge, just see what we created: climate change. We created all the atrocities on forest and pushing people away from their natural habitats. And we created this kind of thing. So all the infections, all the viral diseases which are coming to us today are created by us. Like there was this Ebola virus, I think, which came from the bats. That was also, an example, because what man did in that particular region was that you cleared out the forest. So the bats were pushed to move to some place and had more interaction with men. So firstly, the thing is, how can you push some species from their natural habitats? So similarly, whatever climate change we are creating, we are pushing things, whether it's the Arctic, whether it's the desert, whether it's a forest, we are creating this mess for ourselves.
Absolutely.
And look at these new things which are coming up. Yeah.
Absolutely, Kavita. That is a very important and interesting point. And that, yes, linking the dots, that is where the intersection of pandemics, and this will not be the last pandemic, where at that intersection, pandemics and climate change, we're clearing so much forest, we're pushing these species out of their habitats, and then we're getting more exposed. Today, I was just reading a news article that chicken in the United Kingdom, they are supplied to the big supermarkets, and the chicken are reared in a very cramped environment, and the bird avian flu is spreading in this chicken. And even to the point that around this chicken farm for 110 miles, the virus is detected and it's up. So yes, absolutely, we're creating this mess ourselves, and we need to really have some big changes, not small changes. But I mean, what you speak of, looking at Brazil, where they're cutting down the Amazon, and that will not stop. I always say meat eating has become, or let's call it a meat-based diet, has become a symbol of wealth and prosperity. Now, if entire China will, and as they develop more and more, will take to that same meat-based diet, there is nothing left of the Amazon forest. Absolutely nothing. So that is another point. Do we need to transition from a meat-based to a plant-based diet, and rather quickly? What are your thoughts on that?
I just recently read a Harvard study from the Harvard Public School of Health, which said that it's time that everyone wakes up to the connection, the connectivity between health and between climate change. So we cannot turn a blind eye anymore to whatever's happening around us. And of course, I am a big supporter for vegetarian eating, because I'm a vegetarian myself. And I mean, I don't understand what is the statement of wealth and happiness related to meat eating, because I'm a vegetarian and I'm always glowing with good health. So I think that a natural switch has to be made, and it has to come from within. We cannot push people to give up meat eating, but I think consciousness to, as you can say, holistic living and eating will is of course coming in. I have seen so many people in the States switching not only to vegetarian but also to vegan diets, which is even one step forward. So it is that natural shift is coming in diet, but there are more things to do.
Yes, consciousness. I always say that. So consciousness needs to change. We need a paradigm shift, a drastic paradigm. Little tinkering at the edges will actually not be enough anymore. It's way too late. We really need a complete paradigm shift. Some people have taken, and I know some people say, understand this problem with a meat-based diet, and all the Amazon forest is cutting down for cattle raising and for cattle feed as well. So people taking to a flexitarian diet, which is a step in the right direction, but things have to happen fairly quickly. Flexitarian means to eat maybe half of the days one would normally eat meat. And so it's a transition into a plant-based diet. I mean, from my own experience, I have to say, when I grew up in Germany, we had meat once a week.
Mm.
And not only that, there were a landlord at the time, he raised, or they raised 2 pigs, and they slaughtered those pigs, 1 pig a year or maybe more. And that was the food, and we as tenants, we benefited from that. So meat was seen as something very special. There weren't slaughterhouses at that time. Maybe in big cities a little bit, but nothing of that sort what we see today. And meet once a week on a Sunday as something special. So the situation from that to what is happening today, and everybody can just go into the fast food shop and McDonald's and so on, and without any thought eating that burger, that has consequences.
I'd like to add in one thing here. It's very surprising that besides the whole world, and especially the US, making such a noise about uh, you know China creating this virus, whatever the notion is floating in the world. Again, they haven't stopped. As you're talking of meat, they have not stopped what they were doing. To put it very politely, they are doing what they were doing, but with all the seafood and all the meat. So it's very difficult to stop somebody or some nation or some communities. So that consciousness has to come from within, whether it comes from political leadership, whether it comes from general soul consciousness. I don't know who's going to take the lead here, but everyone in the world is suffering because of each other's mistakes.
Yes, absolutely. Kavita, are we short on time? I see you looking at your watch.
No, I'm not.
No, but we have now 20 minutes into the interview.
Yes, yes. I'm totally enjoying this. Yes.
Yes, me too.
Yeah.
uh, let's just talk a little bit about, you mentioned seafood. What's happening in the oceans? What do you think?
I think that man is so selfish. that we think, let's occupy the wind, the skies, the sea, the land, are fulfilled. See, we were only limited to occupying land, clearing forests, making place for agriculture. Recently, I mean, maybe in the last 50 years, we've seen that the oceans are also deteriorating. The marine species are dying and getting extinct. Recently, in India, there's been a new program for ocean life, which is called Save the Dolphin, and which was very appreciated by people like us, because we thought, okay, this is a species which can be worked upon and saved. Marine biology institutes and all have started doing great work there. So I think each country has to understand what is the special marine life that they have around that particular area or on their coastal lines, and try and save it. Because if you do not save even a particular species from your own region, how are you going to work for the planet? So a bigger plan is, what I mean to say is, a smaller plan is part of the bigger plan. So if you work, at least start working locally. If you're working locally, you're going to benefit people globally.
Yes, of course, there are efforts to establish, and all kinds of environmental groups and green groups are working on that, and to some partial success to
Mhm.
establish marine sanctuaries. I mean, the big problem is using these super trailers to catch fish, which with nets many miles long. So basically, they're sweeping everything out of the ocean, disturbing the ocean floor, they're destroying everything. It's the same as in agriculture, industrial scale agriculture, of just cutting down all the trees and having a big land and with the big machines over and loads of fertilizer. And I mean, I admire India with their small scale farming. That is a different picture. But let's look at America with a large scale farming. It's a large machine, and you can see fields you up till the horizon. So this industrial uh, type of ocean farming, land farming, everything, this industrial type, that has to stop. Small scale, small is beautiful. What do you think?
Absolutely. I just want to add one thing here, that plastic pollution is one of my favorite projects which I work on in India. And as we just talk of oceans, we cannot skip talking of plastic pollution, because as I see so many beaches in India and even abroad, they are loaded with plastic waste on the sides, on the beaches. And I have seen so many films and documentaries of whales and dolphins and fish and turtles trapped with nets and plastic bottles and rings. So I think the consciousness of the people have to be there, that if you are venturing close to the ocean, close to the rivers, you have to stop polluting them. You are a big factor. Each one is as important as a bigger, a bigger government, because you are going to the beach and throwing away your plastic. Nobody can stop you. You have to stop yourself. So I think the consciousness to plastic pollution is absolutely important. And I love to share that this project is very close to my heart, and I work on it here in India. But I do wish that everyone who's watching the show becomes very conscious. Skip away all your plastics from your home, throw it away like I did last year. I don't have a single plastic bottle in my home, and I want to applaud myself, because it was a difficult thing to do, because we are also used to living with plastics. And finally, I made my refrigerator only full of glass jars, glass bottles. I know they are breakable, but that's all right, because you have to initiate, and people like us have to inspire more people.
That is absolutely wonderful. Plastic free. Kavita, you're plastic free. That is wonderful.
I am.
Plastic is, of course, also very important to my heart, and I have studied it very carefully. There, of course, our individual efforts of not throwing thoughtlessly plastic wherever, that counts, and that is very, very important. But that alone, I believe, it's not enough. After all, people don't buy the packaging, they buy the products. So people have no influence and no power over the packaging. So the thought goes, which gets more widely acceptance, that the packaging is actually responsibility of the producers. So that is a very big thought. So that means the producers who packaging their products in plastic, they need to take the plastic back. It's their responsibility. They need to recycle it. Don't just push it on the people. Oh, we gave you that plastic. You want it or not. Now it's your problem. And secondary, of course, it's the big plastic manufacturing, petrochemical complex. And you know, my article has a plastic tap with a very interesting example. If you come home and you find your kitchen is flooded because you left the kitchen tap running, what would you do first? Run for the mop or turn off the tap? So I do believe we need to put pressure on that tap. That tap needs closing, or at least coming to a trickle. So from that side, and from the conscious side of people not throwing things away without thinking. Because, I mean, I studied a bit the history of plastic. This one-way throwaway plastic has been purposefully implemented in order to maximize the profit of the plastic producers. So it is not just a byproduct of something. This was a purpose fully. People had to be trained after the Second World War. People were keeping everything because things were very scarce. So I remember my mother also. Nothing was thrown away. So people had to be trained to get a consciousness. It's okay to throw away. But I mean, we have come full circle.
Yeah, so I want to add something to this, that the packaging industry, even I'm sure all over the world, really needs to be addressed. See, during the times of COVID, what are we doing? We are not stepping out a lot. At least, conscious people are staying a little bit inside their homes. But what we are doing a lot of online shopping, aren't we all? Doing a lot of online shopping, ordering this, ordering that. So I have seen that there are big giants which are sending home our, packaged things, but they are packaged so irrelevantly. I mean, a small thing, maybe a small dress, will be packaged in four forms of plastic, and then bubble wrap, and this wrap, and then cardboard wrapped, and then a plastic thing with the address. And when I start opening it, I keep thinking it's like a magical box, because you keep opening the plastic, and it doesn't even need so much. So firstly, I think it's a small example of saying how every day we are interacting with so much plastic waste. It makes my heart bleed, because I work on it and I just think, oh my God, why did I order this little thing? Because it helped me create 1 kg of plastic waste. Secondly, if you go to the food market, you will see there are funny things packaged. There are things packaged in a very silly manner. Why do you package a banana in a plastic, oranges in a plastic? Hasn't nature given them their natural cover? They have a peel, they have a cover. So I think we somehow, every industry, so it has to be food, it has to be delivery systems, it has to be packaging industry, packaging food or coffee or burger or lemonade. Everything is so much plastic that it's really hurtful. I think we really need to work on that. It's a big challenge for people to willingly give away, to carry their own bags. I mean, it really requires a lot of citizen participation to do this.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, there have been some scenes here in the UK in supermarkets where people buy the products and then take the plastic off and leave it at the till. So we don't want that plastic, you take care of it. But these are small endeavors. Yes, it needs a very holistic solution. And again, it needs some political will, because there are huge profits involved. And as I explained in my article, the plastic tap in my podcast, lots of investment goes into producing plastic. More and more, because the fossil fuel complex realizes that Fuel for cars is on the decline, so let's put all our investment in plastic. So they're projecting the plastic is increasing many, many fold. But that doesn't look good for the environment, doesn't look good for us. Microplastic in our bodies and bloodstream, and that looks like a catastrophe in the making.
You know, there was a study from, I think, Sweden, which came in 2019. There was a small video which showed that every tea bag that we dip into our tea, you know, hot water, to make that lovely cup of tea in the evening when you want to refresh yourself, has so much microplastics. There, even when you store away food in your refrigerator in plastic, boxes, it creates so much toxicity, and you're giving that food to your children. You know, you're taking it to the office, or you're eating it later in the night. So there are studies which show that there is microplastics in your food now. So that was a small campaign that even I've been telling everyone that there is plastic in your food, you know, to make it simpler to understand, you know, because whatever is the language of the lay person, they want to hear that. We can't use too many scientific terms to explain to them. So when you say there's plastic in your food, they stay, you know, think for a second, oh, what am I doing? What am I taking in? But yeah, of course, research is huge. Science is coming up with so many, new, theories. But the thing is, why create it in the first place? The idea is to chop it where the base is, you know.
Yes, absolutely. The solution is actually so simple, but there are interests, powerful global interests who are pushing in the opposite direction. So we need to hold our governments to account, and not just any government is good as long as there is economic growth. I do feel the whole system needs changing. We cannot build, and that is common sense, we cannot build constant economic growth, a system which the planet is not growing. We cannot just mine everything and extract everything and pollute everything. It just will not work. It will backfire very badly. So, Kavita, we're running almost a bit out of time. I'll give you the last word as long as you like to conclude, and what else you want to say.
So I think that when the world leaders, you know, come in the front, they come in the forefront, and they take the lead, and, you know, they show by example that this is it. These are the kind of policies. These are new ordinances that we pass, and they stick to it. They do not back off after signing agreements, Paris Agreement. So even with Joe Biden coming in the US, I hope there, you know, that maybe climate change will take the forefront. And if US get back to the Paris climate, so that should be a positive sign. But what I'm trying to say here is that every country, the leadership has to lead by example, whether it's India, whether it is the UK, whether it is the US. And secondly, consciousness of every citizen is important, because each one in this planet, whoever's living here, is equally responsible and answerable for whatever environment we are creating, whether it is air pollution, whether it is water river pollution, or whether it is noise pollution. Let's forget not the noise we create. The world has become a noisy place. I think people now relax by putting on the AirPods and saying, oh, I get no noise from the outside. So I think to create a cleaner, greener planet, we all have to, you know, sort of get back to our traditional living. I totally appreciate now how our grandparents and great grandfathers used to live on the villages and the farms, and they were healthy. They lived longer. They lived 100 years. Now the life expectancy has fallen. We are more sick. We see so many health issues. Who's the creator of all this? I want to ask the audience. I think you and me.
Thank you. Absolutely wonderful conclusion of our talk, Kavita. It was absolutely wonderful of talking with you. And I'm sure it won't be the last time. Thank you for taking your time and talking to us. And see you again. Stay safe. And
Thank you.
We'll speak again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Yeah, thank you, Gerard.